This one singular play cost this team a World Series. They were 90 feet away from winning the game and winning the championship, but they didn't, and it may haunt them for the rest of history. If this ball had bounced just a fraction of an inch to the right or the left, baseball history would have been completely rewritten. It may be the most controversial play ever in baseball, and in this video we'll be covering 6 of the most disputed moments to ever take place in the MLB. We'll get back to the lodge ball in a minute, but first let me tell you about one of the worst umpiring mistakes ever that may have cost a team their entire season. The year was 2012, and legendary Hall of Famer Chipper Jones was in his last season ever. Chipper only had 1 World Series ring under his belt, and he was looking to add 1 last championship to his lengthy resume. And sure enough, in his final season, the Atlanta Braves barely squeaked into the playoffs, making it into the first ever win-or-go-home wildcard matchup. In the bottom of the 8th inning of the wildcard game, the Braves were losing.
A hot one, backhanded by Chipper Jones, and a high throw into right field. And that one's ripped deep left field, and there it goes.
But then the Braves started a rally. With runners on first and second, the next hitter hit a pop fly into the shallow outfield. Pete Kozma, the shortstop, drifted out, calling the ball, but then...
He'll take it, he'll call, oh, it's gonna drop! It falls! Miscommunication! And the bases are loaded, and Boggs can't believe it.
And the Braves rally continued, now with the bases loaded. But wait! The umpire had called the batter out! You might be wondering how that's even possible. The ball literally was not caught. The umpire had put the infield fly rule into effect. This rule states that when there are runners on base and there's a pop-up on the infield, the batter is automatically out, whether the ball is caught or not. This is so the players can't drop the ball on purpose and get both runners out. The umpire decided that this counted as an infield fly, which completely killed the Braves rally in the biggest game of the season. Freddie Gonzalez was livid, and Braves fans could not believe the call. They started throwing trash, water bottles, and beer cans onto the field, and the Cardinals literally had to take cover because the fans were so angry. The Braves eventually put the game under protest, and after a long delay, MLB decided that the infield fly call would stand because it was a judgment call and it could not be reversed. The Braves would never be able to recover from this call, and they eventually lost the game and their season, and Chipper Jones's career ended in controversy. Unfortunately, that was just the first of several controversial moments, and if you thought that one was bad, they only get worse. Like when in 2015, Max Scherzer, who has 2 different colored eyes for some reason, was pitching the greatest game of his career.
Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss on the off-speed.
In the first inning, he sat him down in order. In the second inning, he sat him down in order. And in the third inning, you get the gist. He was electric. By the top of the 9th inning, Scherzer had not allowed a run or a hit or even a walk. He was nearing perfection. The only man who stood in his way of just the 23rd perfect game in Major League history was Shohei Ohtani. Max got him to a 2-2 count and then 1 strike away from perfection.
And the ball, did it hit him? And that's it for the perfect game.
Max had hit Tabata with a pitch, ending his bid for perfection at the bitter end. But should this have been called back? The MLB has a rule that states a batter must make an honest effort to avoid getting hit by a pitch. This prevents players from...
Oh yeah, let me just stick my elbow in here. I'm sure no one will notice.
But that is exactly what Tabata did. There was no concerted effort whatsoever to get out of the way of this pitch, and Scherzer should have had his perfect game, but it was never called, and Tabata took first base in one of the more dirty and disrespectful plays in all of sports. And Nationals fans made sure to let him know about it the next day. But at least it didn't cost the Nationals a literal championship like the last moment on the list did. But before we get to that, we need to cover the most heartbreaking moment in baseball history. Armando Galarraga, who was just a back-of-the-rotation starter, was also pitching a flawless game against the Cleveland Indians in 2010. Hitter after hitter after hitter after hitter came to the plate and ended up with nothing against Armando. He was incredible. On a team that featured Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer, 2 future Hall of Famers, nobody thought it would be a guy like Armando Galarraga who would be this close to a perfect game. There had been 15 million games pitched before, and only 21 of them had been perfect. Once again, it all came down to the last batter.
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe. He is safe.
Why is he safe? Oh my goodness, Jim Joyce. No.
Oh, jeez Louise. Oh my goodness, Armando.
In one of the most crushing moments ever in baseball, Armando, who was the underdog, was robbed of the most rare feat in baseball. MLB did not yet have replay reviews at the time, so the call was irreversible, and even the umpire felt terrible for his split-second mistake that caused this game to live in infamy. Just heartbreaking for Armando, kind of like how it'd be heartbreaking for you if you didn't subscribe to the Hot Corner and turn your notifications on. Gosh, that would just be terrible. In 2015, the Texas Rangers were playing the Toronto Blue Jays in the deciding matchup of a playoff series. The Rangers had won games 1 and 2, but Toronto came back and won games 3 and 4, meaning it all came down to the winner of Game 5. With the game tied, Rougned Odor led off the top of the 7th by slapping a base hit into left. The next batter laid down a great bunt, moving him over to second base, and the hitter after him moved him over to third base, meaning Odor was now the go-ahead run, standing on third base with 2 outs, setting the stage for one of the weirdest moments you'll ever see.
Russell Martin's thinking the same thing. Look at this. Ball's dead.
Dead ball. The ball actually hit Shu's bat as Martin went to throw it back to the pitcher.
When Russell Martin threw the ball back to the pitcher, it glanced off the batter's hand, allowing a game-changing run to come in and score from third base. But this had never happened before, and the rulebook was unclear on whether or not this run should even count. Either way, this would be a huge call, potentially costing one team their entire year. The Blue Jays argued that the hitter's hands were outside the batter's box, therefore interfering, which would not allow the run to count. But after a long umpires meeting and lots of beer cans thrown onto the field, it was decided that Odor would be allowed to score. But you be the judge. Do you think this should have been batter's interference? I don't know. But I do know that players' butt cheeks shouldn't be hanging out while they're trying to play baseball. Maybe that's a controversial take, but I'll tell you what else is sort of controversial. These pants! In 2024, the MLB started rolling out brand new uniforms that were supposed to be more comfortable for players. And I'll be honest, I'm all for comfy pants. Unless they are see-through! These new uniforms were already controversial with fans because of how they made the player names and logos so much smaller for no reason at all. But Nike, who was in charge of these uniforms, also tried using a brand new material that made the pants more stretchy and durable. But they accidentally made it so that we could see the players' underwear. Thankfully, players and fans complained to Nike enough to where they changed the pants before the actual season began, and we didn't have to end up suffering through an entire year of looking at, yeah. Those were 5 of the most controversial moments in baseball history. But before we get to the 6th and final one, I do have to mention that this video is sponsored by me. As of right now, you can officially become a member of the Hot Corner channel. Woo, yeah, let's go. I know, I'm excited too. If you become an MVP, you'll have access to custom emojis, videos and shorts that the general public won't get to see. You'll get a shout out at the end of each future video, on top of early access to new videos that haven't yet come out. All of this for just $2.99. Become a Hot Corner MVP right now by clicking the first link in the description. There's actually already some secret content waiting for you right now. But here's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's 2025 and the Blue Jays and Dodgers are locked in one of the most intense and epic World Series ever. The Dodgers are the heavy favorites. They won the World Series last year. And the Blue Jays are the severe underdogs. They were in last place last season. But now, they're one more victory away from completing their incredible miracle run to seal their first championship in 32 years. It's Game 6 and the Blue Jays are down 3-1 in the bottom of the 9th. They need a big hit.
Sasaki's 2-2. Line to deep center field. Dean on the run. Justin Dean won't get there. It wedges in the bottom of the wall, and it's a dead ball.
The ball, instead of bouncing off the wall, just stuck into the very bottom of the fence. When this happens, umpires can make a judgment call to say the ball is inaccessible for the fielder, which means instead of the run scoring for Toronto, he has to go back to third base. If the umpires had ruled that this ball was playable, Toronto's odds to win the game would have increased by over 40%. But instead, Toronto immediately hit into a double play, doubling up a runner that should have been at third base, ending the game, and the next day blew a lead in the top of the ninth, came inches away from winning the World Series, and then came inches away from winning the World Series again, and then ended up losing the World Series altogether, leaving us to wonder what could have been if this ball had bounced just a little bit differently.